Hey guys, we're back down here on our coastal project. So today what we're doing is some stamped concrete. We're doing these bands in between the columns. That's going to be just stone texture. And then this is a Friday. On Monday we're doing these pieces in between, which will be ashlar slate. You can see it lives right on the ocean. And the reason why the house is up on these piers is just because this is in the flood zone. FEMA's making them do this. Now all these slabs have to be what we call breakaway slabs. Even the plan calls for no reinforcement. I brought some just in case, but then I got to reading the plan, it said no reinforcement. So everything's got to be separated. All the slabs are 3 or 4 inches away from the perimeter walls. We got ISO strip foam up against all the piers, so if the water can get in here and be at least 6 feet high. So if these slabs do want to break away, they don't want to take the piers with them. So that's why we're doing this the way we're doing it. So today's project is just to get the bands done, the columns done, and we're doing an epoxy coating on that garage floor in there today too. You'll get to see a little bit of that. So this is really the first time that I've had to work on a house with piers of this magnitude, and everything had to be breakaway slabs and stuff like this without reinforcement. But it's probably what's going to happen on a lot of the newer houses being built on the Maine coast like this for insurance reasons. Now, I don't expect these slabs to go anywhere. There usually doesn't get much frost in the ground, if any, down this far on the coast. And everything down here is basically on rock anyway, or ledge. And they pounded all this crushed rock in here to cover it up. So this will probably never heave. These things will never move, I wouldn't think. Now the piers did present a little bit of a challenge pouring these things, as you know, we had to go in between each one of them. Now the ones here on the outside, they were pretty easy, but when we got to the ones on the inside, trying to reach them was a little bit of a struggle for just a few of them, as you'll see here in a couple minutes. Darren's in there, he's grinding that floor. We got diamonds on that power trowel, grinding the surface, scratching it all up real good. That's going to get an epoxy flake coating. And you'll see a little bit of the prep for that towards the end of the video, but if you want to see the whole video of the epoxy flake coating, you're going to have to subscribe. Come on back. I'll try to put that in probably part 3. Part 2 of this series will be us doing the stamping on the inside of these. That'll be coming up next, so that's going to be pretty interesting. You can see we got to use our little 6-foot chute just to reach those 2 there, and now get the truck out, back him all the way around to get this one last piece here, and then we got 6 more of them over there to do. Now it's getting, there was a little bit of a rush on this. It's getting late in the fall here in Maine, and you know, before really freezing temperatures set in, it's probably, I think it was about 40 this morning, but before really cold temperatures set in, they want all this concrete done. They want to finish the grading out here. They got to put the septic system in still out back here. So they have a lot of work left to do. So we were kind of under the gun to get this done in a relatively short amount of time after we got the go-ahead. And then you can see over there on the other side of that pad, Darren's Magan, kind of where we have the chute sitting right there. They're going to put a hot tub in there. And why on earth they dug that deep, I have no idea. Usually, you know, the pad itself is just about 6 inches thick. So, you know, between 4 and 6 inches in places. And you don't need something 16, 18 inches thick to put a hot tub on. They could have really just scraped out 3 or 4 inches of that rock instead of taking 12 inches out, in my opinion. But anyway, we'll fill it up. We'll have a little bit left over from this truck, and then we'll just have to order plenty to get it on the next truck when we come back on the Monday. You can see we had to use a 16-foot chute to reach those 2 back piers. And we don't want to pour this stuff too wet because it's cold, so we had to kind of shovel it down the chute. And there, at least we had plenty of concrete for all the outside stuff. Now I thought we would have enough to cover this whole thing here with the hot tubs going, like at least 3 or 4 inches, but that's it. That's all we had. That's probably about 1/4 of a yard we had left over. That was calling it pretty close, I think. All right, so we got all the bands poured. That's going to be for a hot tub right there. That's why we put that extra crete there. They way overdug it for the hot tub. So again, Monday we'll be pouring these other sections, this one, and that one, stamping those Astro Slate. These are going to get stone texture here in a little while, as soon as they set up a little bit. And then we're going to continue working on the garage, getting that epoxy coating. Got it mostly ground using the power trowel. We made up a rig for the power trowel with diamonds so we can grind it using our power trowel. So that's all scratched up really good. Go around the edges with a hand grinder, clean it all up, and then we can put the base coat down for that. So we'll be back with you in a little while. Alright, we're back. It's about ready to stamp. Probably, I don't know, the truck just left, so it's only 20-30 minutes after the pour. We got that one stamped already. We're going to get these ones here. Yeah, so the good thing about these small pads being able to reach them from both sides is we can actually stamp them pretty early. A little bit earlier than if we had to get on the stamps and walk on them and put a lot of weight on them. So we can get them, you know, after the bleed water dries up. There really wasn't any bleed water anyway, but after the concrete starts firming up just a little bit, you know, we cut in the edges with the edger, mag float the surface out till we like it, get it nice and smooth, and then here we go. I can put the stamp right on it. And it's a stone textured stamp. It's a pretty light stone texture, but it's a nice one for small stuff like this. We got some bigger stamps that are kind of heavier stone texture, if you want to call them that. But because we're doing Astro Slate in the middle, I didn't want to put a real heavy stone texture out here. I thought that looked pretty good. It's amazing how a stamp can really retexture the surface of concrete like that while it's kind of in its plastic state or its wet state. Still always amazed. I've been stamping concrete for over 30 years anyway, and it still looks really cool every time you do it. I'm rotating that stamp a little bit, you know, maybe 90 degrees every time I pick it up, put it back down, so I'm not repeating everything. We're using a liquid release. We're not making a mess. That stuff just keeps the stamp from sticking to the concrete and basically just evaporates pretty quickly if you don't get it stamped. You just have to spray some more on it. You can see the bottom of the stamp. There's quite a bit of texture on that thing. Darren's going ahead of me. He's getting everything edged and kind of mag floated out, and I'm just keeping up with him, and then that leaves Luke the time to go ahead and keep grinding on that floor because we really want to get that epoxy coating done today while we're down here. Alright, so we got our bands all stamped. They all look good. You see stone texture, all 12 of them. So the color, as far as the color goes in here, she wanted the color all to be the same with everything. I kind of recommended the bands be a little darker, but she wanted everything the same color. So we're using just our regular dull gray in the concrete. These will be dull gray when we stamp this out again. This is so deep here because there's a hot tub going here. So we'll just let these sit over the weekend. We'll get back here on Monday. We'll get these all poured out. But in the meantime, to finish today off, we're going to do that epoxy coating on that garage. So you'll get to see how that goes. That's going to be kind of cool. Now we poured this garage floors, I think it's been about 30 days since we did the garage floor. And then, you know, we put a pretty nice smooth finish on it. So all we really had to do with the grinder was just buzz over the surface and kind of open up the pores to it, give the epoxy something to bond to, get it all cleaned off, which is what we're doing now. And then Darren's going to start setting up his mixing kit. I put some flake in the buckets right there. That's really the basic starting process. If you want to learn how to do epoxy flake coatings, I have a course for that. I have a link for that down in the description. If you're still watching this far in the video, I appreciate it. You know, if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Make sure you put new subscriber down in the comments, and I'll enter you into a drawing to win some free gear, the hoodies, the t-shirts, and stuff we wear. I pick one winner a week. Other than that, you know, we'll be back on Monday, so make sure you come back and watch the next video so you can see us do the Ashlar Slate thing. That'll be part 2, and then part 3 of this series will be us doing this epoxy flake coating.